What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. I am your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. You can find me on Twitter at _Cuesta30, and you can find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. And if you're listening, thank you as always. You're listening either to iTunes, Google Play Music, Spreaker, YouTube, or iHeartRadio. And again, thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, spread the word because I would love to always get more followers. With me today is someone who, I was actually surprised when he even agreed to do it because I thought he was a little bit too big time for me. But it's TJ Kidd. What's up, TJ?
What's up, Alex? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we're just going to get this out of the way. Yeah, if the last name sounds familiar, he is Jason Kidd's son, the Jason Kidd, basketball player for New Jersey Nets, which is my favorite team. Everyone knows that. NBA champion with Dallas Mavericks, came back, played for the Knicks, coached the Nets, coached the Bucks, future Hall of Famer, all that, yada, yada. So that's out of the way now. But, TJ is not just Jason Kidd's son. Yeah, he was that cute kid that he carried around all the time during the Nets' heyday. But TJ is also now, he's a grown man. He is a varsity basketball coach over at Beverly Hills High School. He's an assistant coach. And he trains kids on the side, so he is a molder of minds. And if you listen to my podcast before, I've had high school coaches on. I had D.D. Williams on not too long ago. He's a motivational speaker, so TJ is very multifaceted. He loves the game of basketball. So TJ, if you want to give any plugs, any shout outs, now's your time.
Shout out to my mom. And just shout out to everyone who's followed my dad over the years, and thank you for their support and love and passion for what he does and what our family does, and we appreciate it.
That's awesome. And where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me at TJKid23 on Twitter and TJKid5 on Instagram.
All right, so definitely go give him a follow. I follow him. He's a fun follow. And it's going to go right down to the nitty-gritty. I mentioned the Nets. TJ was obviously around the Nets for a very long time. He got to see the best of the Nets, and he's been following them ever since. And now he's experienced the worst of the Nets along with all of us. I'm going to drop down right away. I'm going to ask you, we're going to talk about the Nets' future right now. Should they trade Spencer Dinwiddie this offseason?
Man, I like Spencer a lot. I think he brings a lot to a team. He brings a lot. His game is very versatile. So I'm gonna have to say no. I don't think I think the Nets should hold on to him. I think he definitely was missed some votes in the sixth man of the year.
Most improved. He lost most improved.
Most improved.
I think
most improved.
Yeah, he lost to Oladipo, who I think, even being a Nets fan, I think Victor Oladipo definitely deserved it. Clint Capella was also in that top three, who also obviously was most improved. I don't think anyone saw Clint Capella becoming a member of a big three at all. So
no.
It was tough, and Spencer did a lot. And if you don't follow the Nets, which most people don't follow the Nets, you wouldn't know his G League story and us being the third team in 3 years, and that he was really struggling to find his way in the NBA, and then
for sure,
it's a great story, but most people won't follow it because it's Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn really. I mean, you would think it's New York and it's a big market, but a lot of people don't follow the Nets. I mean, not like they did when KG, Paul Pierce, and those guys were there.
And I think so many people jumped on the bandwagon because they saw all those names. It was a great trade at the time. And, Billy King gets a lot of shit for what he did. But at the time, no Nets fan was going, man, that's a really stupid trade. We're going to suck in 5 years. Everyone was like, hell yeah, we got KG. Hell yeah, we got Paul Pierce. They're with Darren Williams. We still got Brook Lopez. We got a squad. That's what everyone was saying. I don't care who you are.
Oh, for sure. Everyone. I 100% agree with that. I think, and also I think I've said this too. At the time, I think it was a great trade for to win now.
Absolutely, it was a win now trade, and they wanted to make the most. Darren Williams was their face. They had the Dwight Merritt debacle. They missed out on Dwight, and they needed to make something happen because Prokhorov was coming in with the head of steam. And Billy
For
King,
sure.
Billy King, like I said, he gets a lot of crap, but people don't realize when you're a GM and that owner comes down and lays pressure on you, make a move or you're out. That's that man's livelihood. That's that man's job. That's how he feeds his family. So he needed to do
100%.
something. He needed to do something.
100%. Exactly. And the NBA is a league where you have to do something.
And Billy King's probably looking back right now going, where was this Mikhail Prokhorov? Right, the one right now where he's hands off, where he's like, you know what, we're going to do a sustained way to win. We're not going to do that win now because obviously that didn't work. Billy King's probably looking like, maybe he wouldn't be as good as Marks because Sean Marks is an absolute genius. But he's probably looking at going, I could do some stuff too if I was given that directive.
For sure. I think there are specific times and time periods that teams go through with GMs, coaches even, and like it kind of helps you reshape what you're trying to do going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Or you could just do the Brian Colangelo method, make a bunch of burner accounts, make fun of your players, and then blame it on your wife. Because, that works. He went the Peyton Manning route, blaming stuff on his wife. Peyton, I love you. You were a great quarterback. People don't forget, though, you blamed your wife for supplements.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's why this podcast is never going to get big, TJ, because I do things like that, and people are going to hate me.
Hey, it's fine. Hey, do what you got to
do. So, back to Spencer. One thing that, if you're Sean Marks looking at, I think, though, you have D'Angelo Russell, you have Jeremy Lin. You're hoping both of them come back healthy. Karis LeVert took a lot of steps last year. That's three guys right there that you're paying Jay Lin a good amount of money. You want D'Lo to be the face. You want Karis to rise. And then you have Spencer, who's better, but he's kind of the fourth man on that totem pole just by default. So if you're looking at his value, maybe for Spencer himself, it might be better off that he gets traded.
I totally, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think that, because sometimes, you could want to be with a team, and, it's the way the cookie crumbles and the way the cards are dealt. You might have to go play somewhere else just because their depth chart for that position is already full.
Without a doubt. And it's somewhere like Austin Rivers just left the Clippers. Tell me Spencer Dinwiddie couldn't fill a need over there in LA. Not to say that we're going to trade with LA, but that he's a player that now has made himself in the league. Everyone knows he's a player. He's an NBA caliber guy.
For sure.
Great assist, aggressive, not afraid to take a big shot. So
for sure.
Now, I'm going to ask you, what are the chances right now that you think Sean Marks is texting or calling R.C. Buford every day going, you got a team yet? You need me to be on the third team? What assets can we get? Him and RC have a great relationship. People forget that. I think that however Kawhi moves, they're going to need a third team, and I think Brooklyn's going to be that third team.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I think Brooklyn will most definitely be listening to offers for Spencer, and you might as well see what you can get in return.
Without a doubt, yeah. And if you could be a third team, Spencer Dinwiddie gets thrown in somewhere, we can get an asset, maybe a pick, or even a player that would be a good player on our team, but kind of rotational player on another, if it be it the Lakers, be it, someone like a Patty Mills or someone else from the Spurs that, knows Sean Marks, knows what he can do. Everyone seems to like Kenny Atkinson. So there's certain guys that I think could benefit Brooklyn if they come over. Now that kind of cycles right into my next question for you. If you're Sean Marks, who are the free agents that you're targeting? Because right now we don't have all the cap room. We have about a little bit under $9 million in cap space. Who's the guy? Do we just go back and re-sign Joe Harris because he's going to have a nice tab? Or do we try and convince him to take less and go sign another mid-level guy?
I like Joe Harris. I think the Nets should absolutely try to keep him. He's a great shooter. I know he's gauged interest from a lot of teams like Cleveland and Golden State. And I think he's a valuable asset for the Nets to have. He kind of reminds me a little like the way Mirza was able to stretch the floor.
Yeah, and it would be really funny if Joe Harris went back to Cleveland where he started and where he basically rode the bench and was unimportant. And,
Yeah.
back when I wrote for Nothing But Nets for a little bit, and my first article was the importance of Joe Harris. And this was before he did what he did. I saw just a little bit of play from him, and I just saw he does everything well. He's not unbelievably athletic, but he can be an athlete. He's not a great
For
defender,
sure.
but he gives effort every time. And his three-point shooting ability is paramount in this NBA. So
Yeah.
I'd pay the man $8 million a year. Like that, I think, is a cheap fee in this NBA for a shooter of his caliber.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I totally agree with that.
So now, looking at everything going, obviously we don't know the moves that Sean Marks is going to make, but just looking at this current roster as it is, how do you see the season playing out next year for the Nets? Can they jump over that 30-win plateau? Can they even fight for an 8th seed?
I'm gonna say yes, but I think that there are pieces that they might need to go out and get to add to what they have.
Now, is it the type of year where you kind of sit back, wait, relax, and then next year when you could have those 2 max guys, let these big free agents see the growth? We played better this year. We're a middling team. And then try and go out and get 2 max guys to kind of complete the puzzle?
I think so. I think that in the East, I feel like the Nets could maybe sneak in as the 8th.
Yeah, without a doubt. The East is not... and I've talked about it. I think it's the LeBron effect. I think if LeBron leaves and goes west, the East is going to bulk up in strength because I think you're going to see a lot of guys, superstars out of the West, guys like even CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, all these guys going, oh, LeBron ain't in the East anymore? Let me go to Washington. Let me go see what's up in Milwaukee. How are these teams doing? What's up, guys? You need a player? I'm going to come be there. No LeBron? Cool. Eastern Conference
For
Championship
sure.
time.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Which is why I have to ask you, does it really make sense? LeBron obviously opted out today. Today's Friday the 29th, June 29th. He obviously opted out today. Free agent frenzy. ESPN LA is pushing like hell to get LeBron there because it would do amazing things for their ratings on that Sports Center. They have nothing more.
Sure.
That's the only reason they keep on pushing this is nothing. But does it make sense for LeBron to go to LA, to go and have to get through Harden, have to get through Curry and Durant this early, have to battle Karl Anthony Towns, who's growing and getting better? Like, does it really make sense for him to go to LA right now?
I don't. That's the thing. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's going to be a Laker. He's going to be a Laker." I don't think he wants to go west just because I think he has it so made in the East, where he knows he's going to the finals in the East. Because what has it been, 8 straight finals?
8 straight, and why wouldn't he go to a place like Philly where I know people are knocking it, but why wouldn't he go there? Even just go back to Miami. Miami has some nice young players. Put him with Goran Dragic, Hassan Whiteside, and some of the guys that they have there, and put him back with D. Wade, who was rejuvenated back in there. You could have a squad again down in South Beach.
I don't know if LeBron wants to go back to Miami.
You don't think he just wants to be down there? You think he's done? He doesn't want to be with Pat Riley anymore?
I feel like maybe I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe I think he wants to be in a position where he can help a team win a ring, like what KD kind of did when he left Oklahoma City. Like he wants to go and be a part of something like that.
Now, wouldn't it be some shit if he just goes to Toronto? Just busts up everything, goes to Toronto, and that would be doing a KD for me. If you want to do that in the Eastern Conference, you go to Toronto and get them over the hump.
Yeah, because he's the hump for Toronto.
He is, because they were bar none the best team in the East with Kyrie and Hayward going down, and they choked. And that's the bottom line. DeRozan, Lowry, those dudes, they choked, and it's sad because I don't know how they did it. They should have been killers. They should have smelled blood. I don't understand it.
I feel like the thing is when you're going against that number 23 guy, he's a different person when it comes to playoffs time.
And that's a guy that in his 15th season played 82 games, so the first time in his career, and looked fresh up until the finals, basically.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think And I also think a lot of people are taking LeBron for granted, like, in that regard. Like, the dude played every single game this year, did not miss a game. And it's incredible.
We take LeBron for granted every year because, no one needs to get it twisted. Harden might have won an MVP. Curry might have gotten one. Anyone else might have gotten one. I would say for 14 of the 15 years, because maybe not his rookie season, LeBron has been the MVP of the league. They just give it away to other dudes because they're tired of giving it to him. Like, that's just
sure.
It's without a doubt.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think LeBron's probably one of the best overall players of all time.
Without that, and we're going to look back, and all these people that hate on LeBron right now, like, he ain't Michael, this and that, you can't compare him. Not right now. History is never told in the moment. We look back at Michael, and we revere Michael because, you could look back at it now and go, damn, he was great. We're going to look back in 15 years and tell our kids about LeBron. And they're going to be like, he was the best ever.
100%. Oh, 100%. I mean, that's just how basketball and history, like, intertwine with one another.
Now, for you, how was it growing up and watching your dad, who was obviously an all-time great, watching him compete against the Kobes, the Kevin Garnetts, the Paul Pierces, and all these other, Rasheed Wallace. I lump Sheed in as one of the all-time greats because he really is. If you ever watch Sheed play, he does it all. But
for sure.
Obviously you watched him, but how was it like to sit there and watch these guys up close and personal and just how absolutely talented they were?
It was honest, it's funny because, like, I'll have conversations with my friends about it, and, like, they're like, oh, what was it like seeing these guys play? And I'm like, when I was younger, I feel like maybe I took it for granted, but, like, looking back at it now, it's incredible. Like, watching, like, the 2001, like, watching what Kobe and Shaq did together from 2000 to 2003, and then the Spurs, like, Tim Duncan was, like, the big fundamental. It was incredible.
I could only imagine. Now, how often do you get yourself to a game now during the season? Do you go to a lot out in LA? Do you not really go? Like, how often do you find yourself at games?
I try to get out to games as much as I can. I mean, it all depends too, like, depending on if my dad's with the team or not.
Yeah, did you get out to a lot of Milwaukee games?
I did. I made a point to try to get out there as much as I could. It was fun. Milwaukee was a lot of fun.
How was Giannis? He a cool dude?
Oh, the coolest. And the kid works so hard, man.
Well, you could see it. You don't improve. He came in. People don't understand. Like, everyone knows this itinerary at Antetokounmpo is now. He's definitely a top 5 player in the league right now. Like, he does everything.
For sure.
He plays defense in a generation where you're not allowed to play defense. He's figured it out. And the dude could not shoot when he came into the NBA. He could not. And he's turned himself into something that, he's a threat now from deep.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, I remember when my dad first got there and just thinking, like, man, this dude is going to be scary in a couple of years. I think he'll definitely be one of those guys who they give an MVP to.
Without a doubt.
In the very near future.
Without a doubt. Now, how many times did your dad hit you up when he left Brooklyn? And I forgive Jason Kidd, as much as it doesn't mean anything to you, I forgive you for leaving us. But but how often did your dad call you when he was going to Milwaukee and just practice how to say Antetokounmpo?
Oh, all the time.
He's like, I cannot mess up my star player's last name.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's great. That's great. So now that kind of, I like that. That wraps up our basketball portion. I think that appropriately lets it go. We're going to move on now. Obviously, people get that you're a basketball dude. You grew up around it, but you are a sports fan. And when I asked you who your favorite teams were, you just unloaded on me with teams and things that you like. So we're going to rip through some of them. And we're just going to, have fun with it. Now, we're going to start with the one that we both agree with, because I'm a Yankees fan as well, like you. The Yankees are right now having a spectacular season. They're about to start a series with the Red Sox, who they're basically neck and neck with, battling for the best record in the MLB. The Astros are right there with all of them. It's basically a 3-team race in the AL. Can they continue this, and are we seeing signs of 96, 98, and can they overshadow those teams?
I think I don't think you can really overshadow those teams. I mean, because when you talk about the Yankees, you're talking about 27 world titles. You're talking about just because each individual team that's won a championship is just, I mean, absolutely fantastic in their own right.
Yeah,
So
people forget that the Marlins have a championship back in, what was it, 95? It was 99, I think it was. It was a random year. They won a championship and then they dismantled their team. That's how most teams do it in sports.
Yeah.
They're not the Yankees. Yankees win 3 chips and they're dismantling as they made the playoffs as a wild card.
Yeah.
So do you think, is this team going to cement themselves in history as one of those teams that will talk with the 96 and 98 teams?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got someone like Aaron Judge, who's just a freak of nature, man. Can that boy hit the ball?
And his patience is, he has a lot of strikeouts, but when it's a big at bat, I don't know. I didn't even look up how many walks. He's got to be top in the leagues near in walks, and he just has great at bats when they're needed, which is
for sure,
underrated in this game where it's home run or strikeout.
Oh, absolutely. I think Aaron Judge is probably one of the best
hitters
in the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, he's one of the best. And then you have these kids in Andujar and Torres who everyone thought it might be too soon, and they are just ripping the cover off the ball in the 8 and the 9 spot. Like, how do you pitch to this team?
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of pitching, obviously this team can match. Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Torres, Andujar, Bird, Sanchez, on and on and on. Their issue seems to be that past Luis Severino, who's their ace pitcher, there's not much there. You know, CC's going to give you consistent ball, but coming from Tanaka, who's injured, but you have Sonny Gray, and then you have some young guys who you don't know what they're going to give you. Do you think that they absolutely have to go out and get a starting pitcher at the deadline?
I don't think that they have to. I mean, dude, it's always nice to add more to what you already have. Because, I mean, I feel like we're finally getting better outings from Tanaka. He's finally starting to be a little more consistent. I mean, I would love for him to be that guy that he was originally hyped up to be. But, I mean, you honestly got to take what we can get at this point.
Yeah, and Tanaka, he's coming back from his injury. He's basically set to pitch rehab games soon, so it's good news for the Yankees there.
For sure.
Now, who would you be willing to give up in order to get a pitcher? Because Jacob deGrom is a big name, but I don't think the Mets will do a deal with us. I don't know if Madison Bumgarner is on the market. So we have guys like Cole Hamels and I don't even know, some other middling guy dudes. Now, what names would you be willing to give up? I think if you're getting middling guys, Andujar and Torres are untouchable, but someone like Clint Frazier, Justice Sheffield, some of those guys, are you willing to give up some of our top prospects in order to get a middling pitcher for this season?
I don't think the Yankees at all should even consider giving up top prospects. I think that's what actually has gotten to the Yankees to where they are right now, because I feel like the Yankees probably have one of the best farm systems ever.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
They've developed so much great talent. I don't why. It's kind of like why go get something you're only going to have short term, where you can have somebody who you watch develop and grow and become this elite baseball player right in front of you. I mean, if that answers it.
Yeah, because there are some young pitchers. We hear a lot about Chance Adams. We hear a lot about Justice Sheffield down in minor leagues. And we just have the Lasaiga. I don't know how to say his name, but he's coming up. He's pitched okay. He had 1 bad outing, 2 good outings. We have Domingo Germán, who's given us some good games. He's up and down, but they're both young guys. So I would tend to agree with you. Let's roll with the young dudes. Let's
for sure
keep it going with them, and let's rely on Severino to go every 5th day and give us a win. CC's going to give you a chance to win every game. And then, hope that Sonny Gray steps up to the plate. My only concern is come playoff time, you want a 3-man rotation. If Tanaka's not clicking on all cylinders, that could really hurt us against a team like the Astros, who, if we're composed the way we are, do you think we could beat them in a 7-game series?
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, Yankee Stadium is a tough place to play come playoff time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And will you, in the playoffs, will you be getting tickets and coming back out to the East to go watch some games?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I definitely would try to get to a game or two, for sure.
Now, is your dad a Yankees fan?
He's an A's fan.
Oh, what? What?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it makes sense where, it makes sense, but is he hurting right now as an A's fan?
He doesn't like to talk about it.
So you're going to drag him out to a Yankees game so we can watch real baseball in the playoffs, right?
For sure. I'll definitely try to get him to some Yankee games.
Where does he have flashbacks of the A's Yankees playoff games where Derek Jeter's making one of the biggest plays in playoff history with the flip?
For sure. I'm sure he definitely crosses his mind every now and then.
Where the A's should have clearly won that series if it wasn't for some heroics. Like, and then to have Jason Giambi jump ship.
Yeah. I mean, he jumped on the right ship.
Absolutely jumped on the right ship. Hey, listen, but at least the A's got a really nice movie about Billy Beane, I guess. I guess that works.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of the A's, we're going to jump over to the West Coast because now I see some of your West Coast influence here. You happen to be a Raiders fan. Where
I am. That me and my dad both share.
And, and I get it. And Raiders fans have pride. I'm a Jets fan. We have no pride. But
oh, man.
It's tough being a Jets fan because at least you guys have a legacy. But we have Joe Namath, and that's it.
Curtis Martin?
But I mean, in terms of winning chips. Like, Curtis was great.
That's true.
He's one of the greatest of all time. But unless you win, that's honestly the only other guy that if you talk about the Jets, people say Joe Namath and Curtis Martin. Maybe Keyshawn, if they really know football. Besides that, who else do you think of if you're a Jets in our generation?
Mark Sanchez?
Oh, come on now. The butt fumble? The butt fumble, that's what you think of? Yeah. Him running into, what was it? I think it was Damian Woody's big ol' ass. Come on. And Damian Woody ain't big no more, though. Damian Woody looks awesome.
Yes. But,
yeah, no. So at least you guys have some pride in your team. And right now, you guys have what we're hoping to have. You have a quarterback. He's one of my favorite guys. He had a great rookie year, took a step back last year, which I don't completely pin on him only. But do you think he can come back this year and have a season and a step in the right direction as an elite quarterback?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And is that what you're hoping?
I mean, you always have to be hopeful. I mean, that's kind of the territory now because, in the AFC, you got to deal with the Patriots.
Hopefully Tom Brady retires. He's talking about retiring a lot. I just hope he up and retires.
Oh, for sure.
That would help everyone.
For sure. It's about time he retired.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Now, an issue with you guys that I saw is your running game wasn't as strong as it has been. And also, because you guys gave up Latavius Murray and to get beast mode, which I think was a huge mistake. I think Latavius is a downhill runner. He had a great years for you guys. And beast mode kind of floundered. He was just happy to be home, kind of relished in that. But he didn't. He had some flashes, but he wasn't himself.
For sure.
And I think your line didn't protect Derek Carr the way everyone thought they would. You guys had one of my guys. I went to Marist College, and Menelik Watson was at Marist College for a hot minute playing basketball before he went to Florida State. And then y'all had Menelik for a little bit. So I was a Menelik Watson fan, and I did like Derek Carr, so I did try to follow the Raiders somewhat. But I just saw that the protection broke down. The running game wasn't the same, so he struggled a lot. Do you think that's fair?
Oh, I think that's 100% fair.
Now, have you guys done enough to shore up your line this year to protect him?
I feel like we have, but, it's always wait and see when it comes to football.
Without a doubt. Now, one of the issues, too, is Amari Cooper was a stud coming out his rookie year. Last year, I think a lot of people kind of got the game plan on him, and he struggled to separate. He wasn't the same guy. He wasn't making the big plays that he made. I had him in fantasy. He screwed me a lot. And that's something that really also hurt Derek Carr. Now, do you think Cooper is going to make the adjustments to really make himself a bona fide number one in this league?
I do. I think he's a very smart football player. He's a very talented football player. He has a lot of different tools at his disposal. He's got a great quarterback who can help him make adjustments. I think that he will he will help. He also went to Alabama too, so I think. When you come out of there, you're going to be pretty solid, and I think he'll make the proper investments.
Yeah, and you know what? And how much do you think these guys go back and call Nick Saban for advice? Like Cooper struggled last year. How often do you think he goes to the phone? Because he obviously has they trust him. Everyone loves Saban. They swear by him. That came out of Alabama. Do you think he picks up the phone and he's just like, Coach, what the hell? What do I do? What do I need to do?
Oh, 100%. I would.
Yeah, that's like a great tool at your disposal right there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Coach Saban is one of the best of all time. I would call him if I played football.
You could probably hit him up anyway.
Yeah.
He'd probably be like, I feel like he's a guy that, it doesn't matter who you are. If you see him on the street and you're like, yo, Nick, are you busy? You want to go get a beer? He might actually be like, yeah, let's do this. Like, he just looks like that type of guy.
For sure. Oh, for sure. For sure.
So now with the Raiders, your offense, if it gets right, that's going to be good. Now, one of the things that you guys have, you have Khalil Mack, who's a stud on defense, but the rest of the cupboard's kind of bare. Do you think your defense is going to be able to step up enough that to the point where I think this also added to Derek Carr? He knew his defense wasn't great, so he put a lot of pressure on himself to score every single time, and that that hurt him in a lot of ways. Will the defense be able to help him enough that he doesn't have to have that pressure to score on every single possession?
Well, I sure hope so, because can't completely rely on the offense to win you games. You need your defense too.
Yeah, and the only guy I've ever seen do that with complete success was Peyton Manning, because he did not have too much of a defense when he was in Indy, and he did some miracles over there, but not everyone's Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So now, what are your odds? You seeing a Super Bowl run in your future this year? Are you guys contenders in your eyes?
I'm just hoping for the
playoffs. Hoping for the play. Now, see, I picked the Raiders, I think, last year to actually go to the Super Bowl. I thought that the team was really good. I really thought that they had a lot to go with, and then they disappointed me, so people are taking steps back. I really think that they're going to be improved this year for you guys, for you to be happy. I think they're going to be a lot better. I think they're going to be back to being near that 30-point-a-game threshold. I'm just hoping that your defense can step up and give you guys a chance, because if they do, you guys, I believe, are the team that's going to give the Patriots fits if you guys can get it all right.
And also stay healthy. Staying healthy is probably was our biggest problem last year.
Oh, yeah, and that's the name of the game. That's the name of every game, is staying healthy. Again, unless you're the Patriots, because, Tom Brady can go down for a season and you still win 13 games. God, I hate them. So, speaking of teams that I don't like, but you like, you're a Chicago Blackhawks fan. Now, what the hell? How?
Oh, man.
How?
So I started following the Blackhawks 5 years ago.
Oh, so in their heyday.
Yeah. Just right around when they started winning. They just made hockey fun for me to watch, and I really enjoyed watching them play. And I love Patrick Kane and Corey Crawford and all those guys. And I hope they put up another Stanley Cup here soon.
Yeah, now you're getting greedy. But so this year was a down year by Chicago standings. They didn't play as well, and again, they still have Patrick Kane, they still have Jonathan Toews, they have Corey Crawford, they have Artem Anisimov, they have some good players.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
They're a talented team. Do you think last year was just an anomaly, or are people starting to catch up with the Blackhawks and they might have to make some moves?
I would like to say that it is an anomaly, but within any sport, teams catch up. I feel like you could say it's basketball, football, baseball.
Okay, now Crawford is, he's getting he's not old, he's 33, but he is getting older. Is there a replacement in his wings or do you think it's time to potentially replace him?
Oh no, not yet. I think he's still got a few good years left. Okay,
so if you go, just to let you know, my Devils are slated. Yeah. We're going to win it all next year. So, just sit back, chill with that Stanley Cup. because the Devils are ready to go. We have the Hart Trophy winner, best player in the league in Taylor Hall. We're going to do it. All right, I'm lying. He's not the best player in the league, but we're going to win that chip next year.
We'll see. We'll see.
So, yeah, you heard it here, right here. I'm putting that. I'm not putting any money on it because I don't got any money to put on it. But I'm saying the Devils are going to win it all.
Well, we shall see.
So that's a little bit of a challenge. So we'll see. At the end of next year, I want to have you on before that again, but we'll see. After next year, if either one of our teams win, we definitely got to come and talk smack to each other.
Oh, for sure. That's what Twitter's for.
I'm going to be tweeting you all year. Don't worry. But so I'm going to move on to something that I was surprised when you told me that you like this, because I grew up liking it. I faded away as I've gotten older, but I still kind of follow it on the outskirts. My wife isn't a big fan, so I kind of just have to sneak finding the news on it. But you're a fan of the WWE.
Big time.
Big time. So you follow everything that's going on? Like, you watch Raw and SmackDown religiously?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. That's
awesome.
What I do on Monday and Tuesday nights.
I envy you. But having a wife and having a 4-month-old allows me to not do that.
Man, yeah.
So right now I got to ask you, what is your current favorite storyline? Because, wrestling is fake to an extent. I won't say it's fake because the dudes, when they're taking hits, it hurts. When they're on the mat, they got to learn how to fall, because if not, it's real pain. Ask Daniel Bryan about injuries. But
for sure.
To an extent it's fake. To an extent it's scripted. They have their storylines. They know what's going to go on. What is your favorite storyline currently right now?
Man, I feel like what's my favorite storyline?
Well, because I know my boy Dolph Ziggler just got the Intercontinental Championship, which I've been calling for them to do for years.
He won it on Monday night, I believe.
It's about time. It's about time. Hopefully he holds it.
Yeah, he'll have a good run with it. I think I love that Daniel's back. I'm excited about Team Hell No being together once again. That was a big. That is awesome. That made me really happy to see that.
Now, as a fan and a guy that follows it, are you kind of nervous for Daniel, seeing that yes, he was cleared, but God, his injury was it's scary. It should have been career ending. And we see what happened to guys like Edge, where their careers ended early for tragic injuries.
Oh, for sure. I mean, every time he does that backflip off the turnbuckle, I get nervous. But I'm happy he's back. And, I mean, this is what he was born for and what he should be doing.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, one of my friends, she was on the podcast, Brittany Schmidt. She's a huge WWE fan, her and her husband. She happened to mention to me that Kurt Angle's going to dust off the boots.
Yeah, no, he's been I think they're trying to set something up between him and Triple H.
Wow, talk about a classic. If there's not blood on that pay-per-view, then it doesn't count.
Oh, I don't think they do blood too much anymore since it's PG now.
But come on, if it's Triple H and Kurt Angle, do they really have a choice?
That's true. That is true.
They've had some of the greatest matches of all time on pay-per-views. Like, those two guys are great performers.
Yeah.
So, your current favorite storylines, Daniel Bryan, Team Hell No. What do you want to see them do with it? Do you want to see them have a little fun and let them run through the tag team division and really, win the division? Or do you want them to go after singles?
For sure. Oh, absolutely. I think they should build an epic feud with Sanity.
Now, again, this is me not following. Is that broken Matt Hardy?
Oh, no, he's on Raw.
Oh, he's on Raw. Damn. See, I'm out of the loop, TJ. I'm out of the loop.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Broken Matt Hardy, that he brought his persona from TNA over?
I love that. I think it's probably one of the best characters in wrestling right now.
Now, we followed this for a long time, obviously. Did you ever think you'd see a day where Matt Hardy would usurp Jeff Hardy as the most popular Hardy?
To be honest, no. And then I saw that he had brought this broken gimmick to TNA, and then I kind of caught some of what he was doing in TNA. I was like, okay. I mean, I love Jeff, though. Jeff is just crazy.
Jeff is out of his mind, and they, it's funny because TNA is the other production. It's kind of crappy, but they did some good things in TNA, like the Broken Matt Hardy. I thought Willow, the alter ego of Jeff Hardy, was fun.
Yeah.
I think, EC3 is now down in the lower ranks over for WWE, and he's
Yeah,
gonna
he's
make
in
his
NXT.
yeah, and he's gonna make his premiere at some point. I always thought he was a WWE caliber type of wrestler over there at
For
TNA,
sure.
and I'm happy he's a guy that I could see being an intercontinental champion, United States, like a guy contending for
Oh,
those
for sure.
second tier
I think-
belts.
I think WWE has probably one of the best farm systems, like for their like business, and I think that they're expanding over to like the UK.
Oh yeah, and it's great because WWE wrestling has always been international. We've had some great international wrestlers, so to expand over there completely is smart. And yeah, the NXT is a great idea because when NXT Takeover happens, that has to be one of their highest rated things because they're always bringing in new faces. Guys like Finn Balor were down there, and oh God, everyone loved Finn Balor. Kevin Owens was down there. Like, it's a great crop of guys down in NXT and women. I'm happy they did away with the Divas division, and now it's just the women's division. I'm actually happy about that. I always thought it was, now that they've gotten away from it just being smoking hot women that pull each other's hair, and now they're actual wrestlers. Like, don't get me wrong.
I also think that they might be a little bit better than the guys.
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. And it's, and it's funny because, don't get me wrong, I loved it when it was smoking hot women. But it's like you have women like Lita, like Trish Stratus, who were actually wanted to hone their craft and pave the way for a lot of these great women to actually wrestle. And now you have just, top to bottom with Alexa Bliss, with Bayley, with, even Ronda Rousey stepping in. And you had a woman like AJ Lee, who was absolutely fantastic, step away, and it didn't completely kill the division, which just shows you how far they've come.
Oh, for sure.
So who's your favorite female right now?
My favorite female, I'd have to say Alexa Bliss.
Now, is it because she's cute too?
I mean, no. I think she's very talented. I think she's got great mic skills. She's great in the ring.
Now I got to get that out there. TJ, are you single?
I am.
Oh, so come on, Alexa, what up? What up?
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens.
Now, yeah, Alexa Bliss, what's going on? We're gonna get these out to all the little wrestling rags and stuff, and I'm gonna make sure everyone knows. Alexa, you need to get on the phone or Twitter, hit up TJ.
Oh, for sure.
I'm atting her. Don't worry, yo, TJ, I'm atting her when we put this out. When I promote it, I'm making sure I add her, and she knows that she's in it.
For sure, for sure.
that would be a dream come true, wouldn't that?
Oh man, yeah.
So, keeping in line with the superstars and all the great things. Now, there are always situations where fans, and you're very involved, so probably top to bottom, dudes in NXT, all this. There's always situations where we think people aren't getting enough push, or people who are getting too much of a push that don't deserve it. Like I said, I'm ecstatic that Dolph Ziggler has the Intercontinental title because I always thought that they gave him false pushes, gave him a championship for a week, took it away from him for the big-time championships, let him hang around as kind of a glorified jobber for the big guys.
Yeah.
And he's always been a performer. He sells moves as good as anyone. And
for sure.
I think being the second-tier champion would serve him well. It served a lot of people well in the past.
Oh, for sure.
Who do you think deserves more of a push right now?
I think Seth Rollins absolutely deserves a push, like a mega push. He should get the Roman Reigns push.
And it's funny how far Seth has fallen with his injury. Like, that took him off the map. And then other guys came up and really took the mantle. And Seth became a kind of a side guy when he's one of the best performers around. And I'm still pissed that they outlawed the curb stomp because I thought it was one of the most intelligent finishers for a guy his size, because it's not believable when these little dudes are power bombing these ogres and it's putting them out. Like, no.
Oh, for sure.
The curb stomp, you were on the ground, he stomps your head in the ground. Like, that's believable. That's going to knock you out. Like, that's legit.
It looks like it hurts.
Hell yeah. Could you imagine that move being botched? Like, ow.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, you mentioned the Roman Reigns push. I'm going to outlaw him from a guy that needs to stop being pushed, because I think every fan, I'm an outside fan, and I'm tired of seeing Roman Reigns. Everyone's tired of Roman Reigns. I think a lot of people are. And yeah, we've been tired of Roman Reigns for almost 5 years now. Like, I think it's been that long. Besides Roman,
I want to.
go
I
ahead.
want to get in the ring with him.
No, I would. Oh no! Listen, I liked Roman Reigns when he was the big muscle of the Shield and would just be power bombing everyone. Not that he has like 9 finishing moves now and not one of them work in a pay per view. Like, I'm tired of that.
And he's had the same opponent for every pay per view.
Yeah, it's very sad. So, outlawing Roman Reigns from this answer, you can't say Roman Reigns because we all know he needs to stop being pushed. Who else is getting a push right now that kind of doesn't deserve it? It's mean to say that they don't deserve it, or they're not doing the best with it, and WWE needs to bring it back.
I think I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve it, but I feel like they might need to figure out how to reposition him to do something big. Is Shinsuke Nakamura?
Yeah, and he came like a bat out of hell. He came in like a bat out of hell. He was, and WWE likes to do this where they make these guys come in, they break up matches, they look invincible, they knock out the heel or face, whoever they're going against. It doesn't matter. But they come in, they wreck a bunch of top-tier stars coming in, and then when you see them get into the ring, all of a sudden they start getting beaten. And it's like it takes away that luster of, oh man, like, perfect example, Rusev came in and he was a juggernaut. He was beating the hell out of everyone. But then when it came time for him to perform, they just didn't, he won some big matches, but then he'd hit a Roman Reigns, then he'd hit a Brock or some guys, and they'd be like, oh, stepping stone, sorry, Rusev. Like, I hate that they do that.
I mean, but also feel like that's kind of like how the business always has been.
Yeah, and it's run, and I still think it's that way. Like, we forget that Triple H was part of the legendary Clique. And it's funny that the Clique still has influence over the WWE so many years later.
Oh, for sure.
So, and I think it's kind of that fallout of the superstars get to decide. The big guys, like we see Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar decides it all. When he wants to be in the ring, he's in the ring. When he doesn't, he doesn't. That's bottom line. Yeah. They pander to him. It's in his contract.
100%.
So that's bizarre to me. So we're going to go on.
He gets the big bucks.
Oh my God, he has to be the highest paid guy. Probably
for sure.
Right underneath Vince, and Vince makes all the money.
Yeah, that is true.
So we're going to go into the all-time scale. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh man, favorite all time. I'm gonna have to say John Cena.
John Cena. That is, and and it's funny because there was a little bit where I was like, "Yo, John, give up the white rapper shtick. Give it up. You're not a gangster." But then, honestly, what made me change it? I saw all the stuff he does for Make-A-Wish, and that he is literally the greatest human being. He is our Gandhi with everything he does in the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like,
oh, for sure. I think he's probably one of the most down-to-earth people I think I've ever seen.
Have you met John Cena in person?
I have not, but I would love to.
It's another guy I gotta at. John Cena. Come on, what are you doing, man? Meet TJ. But yeah, no, just seeing everything he does and just how he's never unwilling. He gets where he is and how he got to where he is, that it's all about the fans. It's really all about the kids. And he never doesn't give back. He's always giving away an article to a kid. He will never hesitate to be there for a kid. And all the things he does in philanthropy for Make-A-Wish, it's genuine. He's not fake. And that boosted him up to me. And he could do no wrong in my eyes right now.
100%. And I think the cool thing about him is, like, that's actually, like, who he is. Like, his character is him.
Yeah, and, like, the never give up, like, he has not broken away. And, it kind of, they want to make a heel turn a few times, and he's denied it because he's like, no, my fans, the people that look up to me, how am I going to tell them to never give up if I'm doing the wrong thing? How am I going to be inspirational if I'm doing the wrong thing? And I respect him for that.
Exactly.
And also, just the guy he is, like, he's not too big for himself. Like, oh, you want to take me out of the championship push? Fine, I'll go win the U.S. title, and I'll hold it for a while. Like, he could easily be that brat. He could be that Hulk Hogan that never wanted to give it up. And
he makes it easy, like, for them to, like, he could go compete for, like, the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title, and he makes it the most important title, like, on the show.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, yeah. When he went, would he hold the U.S. title for like I don't know how many weeks? Like he just held it. And he took any challengers to go win it, and that was fun.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
And he overshadowed both championship titles. Like without a doubt, he was the big ticket. And it's just for me, that's a great pick. I love that pick for him because I respect him just as a human being for everything he does.
For sure.
So I'm not going to give my favorite because I can't top that. Like. No, but for my generation, I gotta go Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I know
I love Stone Cold.
It's generic,
Stone Cold.
But it's like you don't realize when I was watching it, I was young too when Stone Cold was around, so it was like I just liked that he was a badass. He cursed, he gave everyone the finger, he drank beer, he told Vince McMahon to go eat a fat one every time. But I go back and I'll watch some of his matches, and goddamn was he technical! Like I didn't realize how technical he was back in the day.
Oh, for sure. A lot of people don't give him enough credit in that regard.
No, and it's insane. Like we know the stunner, we know his he brought meleeing out into like a big thing with all the stomping and all the punching and everything like that. And
for sure.
But like when you just look at him as a technical wrestler, like he did the sharpshooter as a tribute to Bret Hart because it was one of the best of all time and one of the better matches he's ever had. Put him on the map. Sure. And just all the things that he did inside the ring and just the way he sold things as well. Like, if you know wrestling, selling moves is half the battle in a match. He was just unbelievable in all facets.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
So, he's probably my all-time favorite wrestler. Do you have an all-time favorite stable?
Oh, man. DX.
I think that's almost everyone in our, like, growing up in our era. It's DX. Or if you were a WCW guy, it was NWO. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And it's funny because, like, yes, I love DX, and they probably are my favorite, but I don't know do you remember the Job Squad with Al Snow?
I do.
Like, it was funny because they were second-tier wrestlers, but they had guys like Bob Holly, who was a fantastic, like, should have probably been a championship caliber guy because that's the type of in-ring worker he was.
For sure.
And the Job Squad was funny because they were all very talented workers, and it was kind of their protest against WWE that they were brought down as jobbers. Even though they were very good wrestlers. Al Snow, he had head, and it was funny, and it was inappropriate, and it was the Attitude Era through and through.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
It was, it was a good little way, and it was a nice way that WWE just kind of let them do it, and it gave them more clout, and it got them better matches.
Totally.
But, yeah, I can go on and on for stables, though, too, because the Ministry of Darkness, The Undertaker, that was him at his finest. It brought Edge and Christian to the forefront as they left Gangrel in the dust. Like, it was kind of Bradshaw and Farouk got redone as the Acolytes, like.
Oh, for sure. You can go on. We both can go on and on about it.
Yeah, and, like, I'm more of an Attitude Era guy. Like I said, I haven't been able to watch it as much recently, so Attitude Era is really where I float to.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I do watch some of it, and I feel like the writers are trying to really skate that line of Attitude Era now. Like, they're keeping it family-friendly, but they are pushing the envelope more than they did even 3-4 years ago. Do you agree with that?
For sure. And I think now, like, when you have guys like Kurt, those guys come back, you kind of want to see how they, like, transition into what, like, this era is.
Exactly, and I think, they were going to kids a lot with the PG rating and everything, but I think they also started to realize that they started to lose their our age guys, the 17 to 30-year-olds. Like, they were starting to lose that demographic because, basically the violence wasn't as violent, the promos weren't as derogatory, the women weren't as sexualized, which was a big draw, and as, it's good in a way of progression, especially for the women that they're not just sexualized.
Yeah.
But, horny dudes around our age, that's kind of what they paid to see a lot of the times, like.
Yeah.
And,
it's always changing and evolving. So, it's fun to watch.
Without a doubt. And, and like I said, it is good to see now when the women's matches come on. Before, it used to be, all right, I'm going to go get food ready. I'm going to go do what I got to do, because a lot of times the women workers weren't very good unless it was Trish, unless it was Lita, unless it was one of these elite level, workers in the ring. It was kind of like, Now, when the women's matches come on, it's kind of like, oh, Charlotte's wrestling, Alexa. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Like, that's two good
For
workers
sure.
in the ring.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like now, like they're having like the chamber matches, and Hell in a Cell, and all that fun stuff. Like it's fun seeing them do that now.
And I do love, like, you see, a woman persona like Ronda Rousey, and now you have another woman that can be with Charlotte Flair, that can be with Nia Jax. And
for sure.
Can realistically match them in strength. Maybe not
for
Nia,
sure.
because Nia's she's the Mark Henry of the women, where she could just bench press a planet. But
Yeah, she's impressive.
oh yeah, just the way she moves, where women of her size and her strength, like, it is very impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you feel about Ronda taking on Roddy Piper's persona and in a tribute to him, basically?
I love it. I think she's done a fantastic job making that transition from UFC to WWE. And I mean, she's the baddest woman on the planet for a reason.
Now, is she here to stay?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And she's been a fan her whole life, from what I know. So, I mean, I hope she's here to stay.
That's just great. Now, now this is kind of going to be a smooth transition, because you also told me you were a UFC fan, but do you ever see Conor finishing off his career and then jumping to the WWE? Because he is a great orator, and that's one of the big pieces to go in WWE.
I feel like he would be a huge draw, and he's already a crazy huge draw in the UFC. But I feel like if he made that transition too, I feel like he would put a lot of people out of work.
Now, do you ever see CM Punk coming back, or is that rift just too deep?
I mean, I would love to see him come back, but he says he's done. So, I mean, you never know. And that's the cool thing about that business, is that you do never really know who's going to come back and when and how. And
yeah, guys like Bret Hart, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash all came back. And those riffs were very deep as well. And even Sean Waltman, X-Pac, has been on some things, and those are guys that had very deep riffs. And yeah, New Age Outlaws came back. That was another one that, if you know behind the scenes stuff, Road Dogg was kicked out for using, illegal substances. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it can be. Now, is this a fantasy match that I'm only thinking in my head of Conor, CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar in the same ring as an MMA triple threat WWE match?
Man, I mean, it's possible. I feel like Brock's a big dude.
But if you're bringing Conor McGregor, I don't think Conor McGregor loses his first 23 matches. I don't think you can if you bring him in the WWE.
Yeah.
But I think that would be interesting. Now, in terms of Ronda, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been able to see her. How is she as an in-ring worker? Is she a little raw, or does she look like she's born to do this?
Oh, it looks like she's born to do this, 100%.
That's awesome, because you can always tell with certain new wrestlers, they're stiff. They look like they might hurt someone. Like Ronda doesn't give you that at all. She's very smooth. She sells things. She's good with doing her moves.
Oh, for sure. She's been crushing it.
That's good to hear. I definitely got to catch a match with Ronda. Now, we're going to transition. We talked about Conor. We're talking about Ronda. UFC obviously was a big portion, still a big portion of Conor's, huge portion of Ronda Rousey's life. Who is your favorite current fighter in the UFC right now?
Oh, Conor, easily. It's not even a competition.
See, I'm from Manchester, New Jersey, which is right next to Tom's River, New Jersey. We're basically their redheaded stepsister in that area. Yeah. Frankie Edgar came from Tom's River. Frankie is... Yeah. I ride or die with Frankie. He's my guy. Yeah. I know he's kind of... people think he's hitting the twilight of his career. I think Frankie's just getting started. That's just me.
Yeah.
But, I love Frankie. How do you feel about Frankie Edgar?
I like him. He's an incredible fighter. He's fun to watch. I mean, I love UFC. I think that Frankie, he's definitely not done. He's absolutely not done.
Now, the funny thing about Frankie is I think a lot of the things that doesn't draw people to Frankie is you're not going to get the big knockout with Frankie Edgar. Now, he's,
for sure.
I happen to know his strength and conditioning coach's sister, which is kind of funny. Me and her are good friends, Megan Blue. His strength and conditioning coach, Brian Blue, All-Star Sports Training Academy over in Tom's River, he trains Frankie, and he says that he's a beast, and that allows him to go 5 rounds, no problem.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're going to get out of a Frankie Edgar fight. Whether it's 3 or 5, he's going to go all 5. Whether he wins or loses, his face looks like it's completely redone. It always looks awful whether he wins or loses.
Yeah.
But I just feel like people are kind of, if you're not invested in Frankie Edgar or you don't really love the UFC and get the technicalities of it, he's kind of a boring draw because he's going to last the whole fight. So
for sure, and that's not always what people want to see. They want to see someone step in the octagon and knock somebody out in like 5 seconds.
Which to me, that kind of pisses me off when I see that on a pay-per-view. If I pay money and a dude, like, obviously sometimes, it happens. A dude gets a clean hit. The fight should have been better. You need to see round 2. Do you think we see Diaz-McGregor 3 ever?
Oh, I'm sure it's probably, Dana is probably thinking about making that happen. He's a businessman. He's smart, and I think it'll make a lot of money.
Now, do you think McGregor won the second fight, even though the numbers were still in Diaz's favor?
I don't mean as much as I would love to, but I think Diaz beat him in the second fight.
Yeah, and for me, it's like the one thing I do like McGregor. I'm not the biggest McGregor fan because for me, all the shit that he talked, all of it, to tap out, you don't tap out. Yeah. You break. You break a bone, like, period. Like, you don't talk his mess, and everyone talks trash, don't get me wrong, but you don't talk his mess and then tap out. That's just me. Yeah. Like, that's how I feel.
And I think, just as a testament to, like, how great Conor is, I think the fact that he was able to come back and beat him was, like, just absolutely incredible.
It is. Now, do you think it was a stupid move for him to jump into the ring with Floyd? Obviously, the money isn't stupid. But do you think it was not smart for him to get in because Floyd dismantled him? And Floyd could have ended that fight 5 rounds earlier. He put money on himself to win in a round, and he got to that round, and he won himself some more money. That's exactly what happened. Do you think it was... Because Conor did look lost. He looked like he didn't know how to box because he didn't really follow the rules, which we didn't expect. Do you think it was a mistake for him to go in there and do that?
No, not at all. I think it was, Conor's one of the best combat athletes on the planet right
100%.
now. And Floyd's probably one of the best boxers of all time. So, the fact that we even got to see it somewhat of a fight, it was, I think it was fun. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. I think it was impressive that Conor was able to go 10 rounds with Floyd.
In terms of fitness-wise, it was. Now, they have a framework, which I read. I don't know if it's still there, but they had a framework for a fight in the octagon that when you read the rules, it became a boxing match in the octagon. Did you see that at all, and do you think that that's going to happen?
Oh, for sure.
Now, it kind of annoys me, though, because they're not letting him do... It's basically a boxing match. There's no takedowns. There's, no grappling. There's a lot of stupid rules that it's not a UFC fight at that point, because obviously Floyd's trying to protect himself. There's going to be more leeway with how Conor can hit him, but essentially it's just 2 guys throwing hands again. It's another boxing match. Is that what you really want to see?
I think there's a lot of people that want to see Conor and Floyd go at it again. There was people that paid a lot of money to watch it the first time.
Now, do you think if it's a setting where the striking is just more lax, Conor will win?
Oh, for sure.
So you think that he would beat... Wow, that's... Just with how quick Floyd is and how quick his hands are, you still think that Conor would be able to beat him if he's allowed to, hit on the body more in different ways or have more leeway with clubbing and things like that?
For sure, because Floyd's not used to that.
You see, my argument is, yes, people always say Floyd isn't used to this and that. Conor has never met anyone as precise as Floyd Mayweather, because yes, guys are precise in MMA, but the only thing Floyd practices is his fist. He doesn't practice legs, he doesn't practice grappling, so his punches go exactly where they want to go at the exact speed and strength, and he knows it.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
So where a lot of people say that Floyd has never seen certain things, Conor definitely has never seen what he saw in the boxing ring. And yes, he experienced it once, but I don't know if that's enough to beat Floyd. With all if it was a regular UFC fight, it would be over in 33 seconds.
Oh, I wouldn't even give it 33.
O'Connor would mess with him. That's why he would showboat.
Yeah.
That's why it would go over 30 seconds because he would showboat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. That for sure. I agree with that.
But I just think even with the lax rules, if it's just fish striking, if there's no legs involved, if there's legs involved again, it's a 1-round fight. But if there's no legs involved, I still think Floyd would end up winning off of his fitness and just his precise striking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's tough. That's tough because I mean, I feel like Conor would come a little more prepared than he was the first time.
Yeah, and and for me, like, I don't want to see the trash talk in this second time around just because of how like lovey-dovey they were at the end of that. You know what? They were both happy. They made each other a lot of money. That's why they were both happy. But
for sure.
They showed each other the ultimate respect. They gave each other, like, a nice hug, said some nice things about each other afterwards. Can you go back and do all the trash talking this second time around after you said all those pleasantries, after you beat the hell out of each other?
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I guess so. For me, maybe I'm a little more of a cynic because I'm like, that's a little hypocritical.
Yeah.
But I guess to be a fighter, you have to talk trash. You have to have bravado.
For sure.
So, yeah. So we're talking about this. Now, one of the questions I posed to you is, UFC is obviously more popular than boxing. But if you saw it, Conor McGregor earned the most money he will ever earn, probably ever again, in a boxing match. Because UFC pales in comparison in terms of the money you win for winning fights. Boxing still holds much larger purses. Because, Crawford versus Horn, I think Crawford took home something near $100 million for his fight beating Horn.
Yeah.
Do you think, how long and will it ever get to the point where UFC will catch up just money-wise to boxing? Because boxing, in terms of money, is still king.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think UFC is a sport that's been on the rise for a little while now. And I think that there's a lot of money that's in it. And there's going to be even more money put into it once, it really gets going.
Now, do other things like Bellator and these other fighting programs help UFC? Or do you think they kind of hurt it with how stringent Dana is sometimes?
I feel like it could go either way, really.
Because Dana's more, he's still very hands-on. It's my way or the highway with Dana. And, he does give leniency to guys like Conor, to people like Ronda, who are his stars. Like, don't get me wrong. Everyone, if you're the star, you're going to get leniency. That's just how life is. Fair or not. Get over it, everyone. But he is a very my way or the highway guy. Do you think that when he, I'm proposing a different question. When Dana eventually steps away, where does the UFC go?
I mean, there's really nowhere else for them to go right now. I think maybe eventually they end up buying Bellator, maybe.
Okay, that would be kind of use it as like a little bit of like a D-League type of deal?
Yeah, maybe making it to the farm system or something.
Now, before we I'll ask you one more question about specifically UFC, and then we'll kind of let this one fade away and we'll sign off. But I have to ask you, are you interested in the Chuck Liddell Tito Ortiz match coming up?
I feel that could be interesting.
Now, we're watching a real life grudge match with Stallone and De Niro. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to see two guys move really slowly in the ring and Tito Ortiz get knocked out by Chuck Liddell again.
I mean, if it's making money, people are there's. You said it's gonna be Bellator?
I don't know who's doing it. Honestly, I'm gonna look that up real quick because this is, it wouldn't surprise me if it's Bellator because Bellator, they try to make money any way they do.
Yeah,
I don't blame them.
Yeah,
but it's not something I'm interested in at all.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely watch it just because, it's Chuck Liddell.
Do you think we're going to see a jump punch?
Oh, I'm sure.
He has to, right?
Oh, for sure.
See, I don't know who. It doesn't say exactly. It says that the fight has been booked, but it doesn't say exactly where. And he also called out John Bones Jones, which is not intelligent.
No.
John Bones Jones will kick his ass. It wouldn't be
No,
close.
yeah.
So now that we got that out of the way, last thing on Conor McGregor, do you think he will end up getting all of his championships back?
I probably. I mean, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance, and I think Dana, for me, I think it was a publicity stunt what he did, throwing that there. I think it went too far, so he has to pay the piper. But I think Dana stripping him was just all a part of it, and it's smart. Let's make him climb the ladder again as the good guy against evil Dana White, and let's just make him win it all again.
Yeah.
So do you think that'll be good marketing for UFC?
Oh, for sure.
All right, and last question. Any other stars on the horizon rising up that could take Conor's place at some point as the guy in UFC?
Not anyone I've seen yet. I'm sure there will be somebody.
There always is. But all right, with that, that is the end of the Sports Opinions podcast with TJ Kidd. I want to thank you, TJ, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And again, TJ, where can people find you on social media?
At TJ Kidd 5 on Instagram and at TJ Kidd 23 on Twitter.
And again, I am Alex Cuesta. You can find me on Twitter at @A_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. You can download the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, Spreaker, YouTube, or iHeartRadio. And thank you very much for listening. Again, thanks, TJ. It was lots of fun. And
thanks again for having me on.
No problem, brother. And have a good one.